claim, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to call the order of the transportation meeting order for August 10th, 2023. Let it be known that, Ms. Secretary, that all commissioners, do we have one missing? All commissioners are present. Mr. Johnny, would you give us the invocation followed by the pledge?
Will. In the Father and Son and Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessings on this gathering as we conduct the business of the parish. Bless the council members here, all the public who attend, the staff people for Ascension Parish who work so hard providing the services that the parish constituents need. Bless us and guide us in all of our actions, and may your Holy Spirit be with us at all times, for we place our lives in your hands, always and forever, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with the secretary. And they have a green or red card. But what I'm going to do under the chairman's report, I'm going to allow the River Highlands to come up and speak. We've had this before. Ms. Sherry Bourgeois, is she here? Please sign in, ma'am. Listen, this is just a transportation meeting, please. Feel free.
Put all your pie charts and diagrams over there for the record.
Please. Anybody want water?
While we're waiting on, while we're waiting for them to sign in, Mr. Joe, you had something on the River Island?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I know a lot of the members of the committee are familiar with this problem over by Diversion Canal at the River Highlands. This is an issue that a lot of the folks that live there now were inherited. An issue that, from what I've been told from our parish officials in the past, the homeowners associations and the builders and different original owners there didn't necessarily want to take the right steps to put that section of road in the parish. Now, with that said, I feel like that section of road overall, believe it or not, and I know it doesn't look like it, but it's not a bad road. It's in actually good shape as far as concrete foundation, as far as all that. The regulations of the parish typically don't let us bring any roads in that don't meet the specific standards. I think in y'all's case, we could do some patchwork and we could do some things, but we can't do anything without taking the road in. So I wanted to, pass that in front of my fellow commissioners to let y'all know that, it's not, it's got some major problems, some big problems, but it's not a road that's beyond repair and beyond all recognition. And this is a road that all of our districts access to go to, they have the restaurant and the bar down there and the river. I think it's something that, as the parish, we owe to the people of the parish to allow them access to these different places. But that's all I really had to say to kind of bring it up to y'all.
Okay, thank you. Staff, if you don't mind, I'll let the couple of people come up, and then if y'all don't mind, we'll bring you up to speed, or if you have anything to add on, we'll appreciate it. Ms. Sherry Bourgeois, would you please come up?
So I've been living there at the condos toward the back for about 6 years, I think, in 2018.
There you
Down
go.
here. Oh, God. not really good at talking in front of people, but it just keeps getting worse. We see the school bus, there's school buses that go all the way to the end, turn around and come back. So those kids are on the buses, on the bad road. I just heard the gentleman over there, he was on a motorcycle and hit it and they fell over. You know, it's just dangerous. And I don't know, I just hope that we can, if y'all could adopt it and take it over, and we would, I think a lot of people would, this is just from yesterday, I got all these people here. If we would have more time, we would have got a lot more people here. I mean, there's people that live on the island way in the back. I don't know how many, do y'all know? There's a couple of hundred, and then about 400 people on River Highlands Road, so.
And I wanted to ask this, do y'all live down there, or are y'all visiting?
No, we live there.
The restaurant? Okay, y'all do, okay.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Joe?
It would be best, honestly, for y'all to present your case and to really help convince my colleagues. If as many of y'all that would speak could, but just put your name in there, and we'll call you one at a time. But I do want a few of y'all to speak so they get a good understanding of the issue. And that way we can kind of keep order and let them follow real well.
Next will be Mr. Thomas Bedwell.
I have the luxury of living right in front of the bad spot. And when we first moved in 2021, I think I'd called Joel, and Joel had called me back after working all night. The problem is every time it rains, well, first off, let me preface say, I look at it two different ways. I'm a first responder. I'm a deputy sheriff in another parish. And the only time I didn't have to worry about nothing is when I parked my marked unit right in front of it. Now that I'm in an unmarked unit, it's back to the state capitol dragway. So you have that big monstrosity of a pothole there. Every time a car comes through too fast, it throws gravel. I'm pretty sure my neighbor's gonna talk about their broken windows. We got dings all over our house from it. I'm scared to park a vehicle in front of my house because of all the gravel. But my big thing is what's gonna happen when it keeps getting worse every time it rains. Along with the school buses, you also have the Livingston, Acadian, and Ascension Parish first responders and Santa Maria Fire Department. At what point in time are they not gonna be able to get past there, or gonna refuse to go, even if you live on the island and you fall into Livingston Parish? At what point in time will they not be able to pass through there and be able to respond to something? I think when I talked to Joel, it was more of I don't even know who owns the road. It's a private road, and I have no idea who owns it. We had heard rumors about who it was, and if you're gonna sue that person and get in line, I don't think that person owns the road. So I don't know if the council can do something. If not, take it over, can force whoever owns it to fix it, or what. I don't know what the fix is, but I'm more worried about the safety aspect of it. People trying to bypass the potholes or going through our yards, or going through across the street on somebody else's property and tearing that property up. So I don't know what can be done, but I hope we can do something.
All right,
Thank you.
appreciate you. Mr. Brett Vanway?
Yes, sir, Van Way. So we've been living there for, 2016, so going on 7-8 years now. The pothole is literally right in front of our house. And when I first got there, when we first started building the house, the pothole wasn't very big, and but what was really kind of getting us was there was a lot of traffic for the businesses in the back when they had large semi trucks coming through there, and every time it rained, it would pump the concrete down. The cars weren't really doing it, but it was the big trucks for the businesses that were in the back. And, you know, I've always kind of felt like the parish has profited off of those businesses back there off of a private road. And we've never been allowed to close the gate on the road because of those businesses in the back to limit the amount of traffic that comes through there. Also, you know, you got really you got one bar back there. So sometimes we really have a lot of vehicles coming through there. We've had people who have had split rims. They typically come to us. They want us to pay for it. They think that it's my responsibility because it's in front of our house. And we've talked to one of the developers about it, and he's of the mind that it's because we have a lot of speeding, like, well, when when the room buoys was open in the back, we had a lot of speeding, and so he didn't want to fix the road because of that. And because it's a private road, we would call the police and they wouldn't come back there to do it. But yeah, his logic was that if we fix the road, then they'll go even faster. And so this has been a continuous problem. We've had windows broken from the rocks being shot from people's vehicles. And obviously,
Our yard, our cars are hit.
yeah, and we also have a lot of dust issues. Our house is always covered in dust. The same with the Bedwell's house also. It's been pretty bad, and we also have cars that drive through our yard. We had their mailbox there got hit by a driver trying to avoid the pothole also. So, yeah, if anything y'all could do would be more than welcome. And yeah, so thank y'all
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Ms. Shelley Dufour?
Thank y'all for having us in. I'm currently serving as the president of the HOA for the River Highlands Condo Association. We're in the back, right at the very end of the road before it turns to go towards the island. And ever since we've lived here, I have seen on that road people driving, and we have a lot of walkers. We have a lot of people who walk their dogs. We have runners. We have people who are just out walking. I have seen cars hit those poles and literally jump. Their shocks throw them. And more than once, I have seen those cars kind of jump towards the people who are walking. And I understand, I've had a lot of people tell me that, oh, we've tried to do this before, and it's a private road, and the people that were in it before weren't interested in it being anything other than a private road. But I think the whole area has kind of morphed into something that is way beyond what we can define as a private road anymore. There are 2 bars back there. There's a restaurant. There's a fuel dock. There's a store. There's potentially a future marina going to be going in back there. We have commercial condos. We have Airbnbs. We have school buses, public transportation that come in and out every day during the school year, twice a day. And I have seen comments from the bus drivers about the damage it does to their buses. And if you can imagine doing that kind of damage to their buses, think what it's doing to all the people's vehicles and everything that are going through that daily. And like one of the ladies mentioned a while ago, we've had residents who ride motorcycles, and they actually, about 3 weeks ago, fell into one of those holes and laid it down. So I think we have moved beyond the private road scenario with that. There's too many businesses. There's Lamdola has his business where his barges and everything are there. So that means we have a lot of trucks coming through making deliveries. We have restaurants being serviced. We have like the Lamdola, the marine services that he provides, those trucks coming in, bringing his lumber and his materials for everything that he does. So I just hope y'all will consider that. I understand where this road was a few years ago and the lack of interest in it becoming a public road. But I think with the businesses that have been approved to be allowed to open up back there, the traffic is coming in, and we are experiencing more and more issues with the road, and they are now really, they're safety issues. So we just would appreciate you really taking our request to adopt this road.
Thank you. Next would be Ms. Galwin Carroll. Mr. Cole. That must be him, terrible.
I live in the condos in the back as well. I've been there a little over 2 years. When I first moved there, they had one really bad spot toward the back. I know people have put limestone there before to kind of try to help, but lately nobody's done anything with it. Just people, I guess, went out on their own and donated limestone just so that spot wouldn't get any worse. And that was really other than that, they had a few kind of bad spots, but over the last 2.5 years, they have other spots that are kind of minor, but in a short amount of time, they're just gonna continue to get worse. And they're about to open Blind River Bar, which you can't get to it by road, but there's gonna be more boat traffic and more people are gonna, it's gonna cause more traffic to come down that road. So that's another business that you can't get to by vehicle, but it's, only a mile or two down the river, and it'll be open next spring. So I believe that that's gonna bring more people, more, coming down that road. And I think if something's gonna have to be done, if not today, next year, 5 years from now. Right now, it's a little more manageable. The longer the issue goes on, it's gonna be a bigger problem to solve. Right now, it's something that can be resolved, without causing it to be a major catastrophe. And that's just, I feel, I came here, I feel it's important enough for me to be here, and I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you. Mr. J. Terrell?
Good evening to all y'all. Thank you so much for finally taking some interest, or somebody finally getting hold of y'all. I've been there 16 years. The whole 16 years, I think the most important thing to everybody is your kids. And the school buses have to drive back there and get that in itself, to let a road get so bad where a vehicle hits it and it can't even maintain its proper course, is dangerous. And it's time for y'all, for the parish or state, whoever, it's time to take it over. We all live back there, we all pay taxes, we all vote. We need to fix the road. And I am the one that went down on a motorcycle. What, are you going fast?
I witnessed it, he wasn't going fast.
It was water. I had to go to the other side because it was too rough. I sank, and the bike locked up. Me and my wife went down. And it just, I hope for cases like that, and like I said, for the kids, for the schools, fix the roads, please. I would be indebted. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it. Ms. Cindy Dayton?
Again, like everyone else has said, we thank y'all for addressing this issue that we've had. When we say it's a pothole, I don't think that unless you've been out there, I don't know that you realize what it really is. It's like the whole road with craters in it. Yeah. And when my husband and I bought our home out there with the plans of retiring and all, he has since passed away. And I've had to have my tires realigned 3 times. And I've also taken chunks out of the wheel part. So, I mean, that's kind of like we are taxpayers, and that is our home, and we shouldn't have to drive through that. And it's not like it's the whole road. Like you were saying, River Highlands is a very, very long road. It's very, very long. Towards the end of the road, where we all live, is where this massive, I want to say, it's like craters. It's not just potholes, but it's something I know from being married to an engineer that you can actually repair quite easily if y'all would adopt us. And it's like, why can't you adopt us after all these years, now that we're all back there, we're all active, we all love where we are. But I mean, for me personally, it's like every time I drive down there, I'm gonna do something to my car, and I don't have anybody to fix it for me. And it is dangerous. Like, I'm guilty about like trying to go around and try not to get a hole, and then, you can't miss one. You're gonna bottom out somewhere along the way. So, again, we really do beg you to please just take this into consideration and then do something about it, because It's just is really affecting our lives, like in a bad way, all of us. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Monique Abady.
Hi, thank you for having us. I just wanted to say I'm actually a new resident to River Highlands Drive. I've lived there since April. I go down to the Lane Gap restaurant to get steaks and things like that, and I was extremely appalled at the road. I mean, we've got these $1 million houses and this road, and like she said, pothole that isn't even covered. I mean, it's bigger than this thing, some of these. You could lay a body in them. And it's dangerous. I have 10 grandkids. None of them live there, but I can imagine if they did and went in the bus, you know, that's pretty scary. The man with the motorcycle, I'm glad he was okay, because that could have been really, really bad. And, you know, driving down that road, it's like playing a video game. You know, you're just dodging, and it's horrible. And, you know, I really wish y'all could adopt the road, because I speak for everyone here, I believe. Something needs to be done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Aaron.
We do live at 11240 River Highlands, and that was probably the majority of the one that, and it's from one side of the road to the other side of the road, and it's probably 2 whole big concrete squares. It's no little small bumps. But now we have probably 4 other problems down the road. I would say probably a fourth or a half a mile. We don't ride on the right side of the road. We ride on the left side of the road to miss all the potholes. I have a brand new car. I need front work big time. And I do believe it's from the roads, because I have a brand new car. And they're getting worse. There's what is that? The metal thing. Rebar is sticking out in many places. We've worked on it. We've broke up some. We've tried to fix it. We've had other people, a lot of our friends have put together hundreds of dollars to put rock in it. The rock really just goes back in our driveway, our cars. I mean, it's ruining our house. Our pool stays dirty and musty, and it's just all the, when people go over the rocks, it's all the dust and dirt. We have to spend hundreds of dollars to get our house cleaned and painted. It's, and our house is only, we bought the property in 2016, and we've only been in our house for 4 years. And another thing is, if you drive this road at night and you don't know the road and where the holes are, you're gonna mess your car up, and you're gonna mess some stuff up. We have young drivers that are just starting out at 16, and they're driving down our road, my daughter included. And I think it's very unsafe for them to drive down the road and drive like we do, like NASCAR. Well, not NASCAR, but you know, like around everywhere. I mean, we don't drive like NASCAR, but I mean, it feels like, you know, because you're going this way, you're going that way. But now our kids are driving the road, and I think it's very unsafe where we live toward the back of the road. And there was one more thing. All right, the kids, the road, the rebar. I think that's it. Just, we have put out money to fix it. We've tried, but again, it just gets worse, and worse. So we would really appreciate you guys.
Right.
If y'all even fix the major parts, if not the whole road,
Sure.
would be great.
Anything from the commissioners? Mr. Lawler?
Yes. So we've actually talked to people in River Highlands before, and we've discussed this. First of all, there's a reason that the parish can't accept it. I know y'all don't want to hear this, but we can't take in a private road unless it's brought up to the parish standards. It's against the law to do that, and it's something that the parish can't do. Y'all can have 1,000 people here, but that's not the issue. The number of people is the road has to be brought up to that standard. We had another road, the Bluffs Avenue. Remember, they came to us a while back with the exact same problem. We have roads like this all over the parish that are privately owned roads, and we cannot accept them until they are brought up to standard. And I'm not saying it can't be done. Well, that's what I'm saying. There is a path forward. I know I've spoken to some people in River Highlands about the path forward, and this is the hard part, but this is the reality, and I'm not one to, you know, just tell you all good things that, oh, we'll keep considering it, because the longer we have to keep considering it, the more expensive it's going to get to fix, and it's not going to change the fact that we won't accept it until it's fixed. So what has to be done is River Highlands has to figure out a way to pay to bring it up to the parish standard. Once that's done, you can then come to us, ask us to take it in. I can assure you that if I were still on the council, I would vote to take it in if it was brought up to our standard, okay? So how do you get the funds to bring it up to the standard? There are two ways. You can do an assessment with everybody that lives along the road and assess the property until you have enough money to bring it up to that standard. Or we can help y'all with this, is create a special taxing district. And the benefit of that is, special taxing district, when you rely on an assessment, you're gonna have some property owners, I guarantee you, that don't live there, that rent out their property, that aren't gonna wanna pay for it. So it's gonna increase the costs on you people who are here looking to get it fixed. If you create a special taxing district, it's a tax, it's a millage. And everybody that owns property will pay into it. And then what you can probably do to speed up the process is once you have that special taxing district and a millage and a certain amount coming in, bond it out to get the fix done early. Once the road is fixed, our crews from the parish will go out and inspect it. And if they say, hey, this is up to the parish standard, it can then be brought to us and we vote on it. At first it would come to this committee and we would decide whether or not we want to accept this road into the system, and then it would go to the full council. And like I say, anytime there's been a road brought to us that is up to standard, I don't have a problem taking it in. But the issue is when it's not up to standard, the parish can't spend public funds on a private road. And just because other people are using the road, school buses, restaurants and all, that doesn't make it a public road. It's still a private road. The only way it can be changed is to come through us. So that's the path forward. And I tell you that, and I tell you that bluntly, because there's no path forward just where the parish is gonna say, yeah, we'll take it. Because we can't do that legally, and there are roads all over the parish that we would then have to take in, increasing the burden on everybody in the parish. So that's the path forward with y'all, for your road, to get it to the point where we can take it in. Like I said, I know I had this conversation with somebody probably about 5 years ago. The quicker it's done, the less it costs for y'all, because y'all know it keeps getting worse. When roads get worse, they cost more to repair, and it's gonna cost more for y'all to bring it up to that standard. So just like I told somebody 5 years ago, hey, if y'all can do this quickly, it'll cost y'all less, we can get into the system. But that's really the only path forward. And we can, y'all can come back every couple years and say, please take it in, but that's the way it can be done. And I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but realistically, that's how it can be done.
Hold on, please. Mr. Robert, you finished?
Yeah.
Aaron?
I was trying to get that explained.
And what Aaron is saying is true to some extent. We are a legislative body, and we can actually, I disagree with that part, we can take the road in before it's fixed by creating a variance and doing different things. I don't know exactly how or what. Legal's been working on this for about a month now. I've been speaking with them. So, in my opinion, the path forward here is gonna be to have myself and 2 of my fellow council members, which is 11 of us, to agree to put it on the council agenda. Before we do that, we will need to obviously get with legal, get with some different other aspects of the administration, and see how this could be done. There's a few different variables in play here. One being that a lot of the people affected by this don't have anything to do with the road and don't own the road, they just pass through it. So I strongly suggest y'all don't give up. And as long as you continue to do what you're doing, and we can find a legal right way to move forward, which we can, this will happen. With that said, it'll take everybody involved, being respectful of all of the opinions of everybody, even if we don't agree and even if we don't see eye to eye. That's how we get things like this done. I do appreciate y'all coming out here tonight, and I feel like we can get this and we can fix this road for you.
Yep, hold on just a second, folks. Mr. Johnny?
Just a question. Councilman Lawler, when they set up this taxing district, it won't just be the residents, the commercial property, the bars, the stores, the Lavendale Supply, all of that will be paying in to getting this road fixed. It'll be a dedicated tax going just for the improvement of that road. And once you get it done, I agree with Councilman Lawler, we've dealt with this before all across the parish. And legally, we can't take it in horrible condition. We've had people try to give us gravel roads. We couldn't do it. It's just not, I think it's a state statute, not necessarily one that we deal with. But I would encourage you to either seek legal counsel to find out how to set up this taxing district. And that way, everybody would contribute, including the residents, commercial, the bars, the restaurant, to get it done. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I know, just hold up just a second, sir. Ms. Terry?
Thank you all certainly for being here. I have one in my district that if we can pull this off, I want it fixed too. And so if we can find a way, because we have lots of citizens in our parish who are sitting on private roads that have turned to gravel. I mean, I've got one in my district, it might as well be gravel. And, you know, those folks have not been able to find a way forward. And certainly our legal department has never encouraged me that there was any path forward. So, you know, if Mr. Robert can pull that out of his hat, I'd be grateful to him. And I'm sure that every district in this parish will be grateful. I want to know, my next question would be, where's all the money going to come from to fix all those roads? If everybody was then creating taxing districts like all of our new roads today, if we do not take in any new old roads anymore, if you build a subdivision in Ascension Parish, if you were building River Highlands today, they would have to have a taxing district, or it would be a private road. And when it's a private road, it is noted on the plat, and the people who live there should be aware that it's a private road, and if they don't want to be responsible for the condition of their road, they shouldn't buy a house there. So as much as I would love to live on River Highlands, I assure you, I wouldn't buy a house on River Highlands because it's not a public road. So there's a challenge. This is a state statute that forbids this parish from taking in roads that are under standard. Just, we didn't make that rule. We are living with that rule. And so I would be grateful if Mr. Robert can pull that one out of his hat, and I would join you in voting to fix your road. It's a safety hazard. It needs to be fixed. But so does mine off of Bluff Road.
Mr. Joe?
Yeah, and I hear what all of you are saying, and the game changer between this road and all the other roads that we're talking about around the parish is, this is what is it, 3, 4, 5 miles long? About, yeah, 2.5 miles long of a concrete road, and we're talking about 100 feet that is bad. The rest of this road is in great condition, and there's many ways you could look at it that way, but.
If it's up to parish standards, it's in great condition. If it's not, it's just a road getting ready to fail.
Yeah, but like I said, you need 3 of us that are gonna be on the council.
I'm happy
and
to
get those
assist you and put
votes,
it on.
and it won't be a problem, and we can do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
folks, if y'all don't mind, just hold up just a minute. And we've made our round, and I'm gonna turn it over to the staff, and I don't mean to throw Mr. Daniel a hot boiling pot full of water here, but, you know, this has been around for a while, and let's face it, we need something done. And if this is what it's gonna take, I mean, we're gonna have to give the steps along. I know, Joey, I know y'all have all been out there, y'all looked at the road. It's just, you know, when you have this many people with school, restaurants, and everybody involved, and look, I've dodged those holes myself, going back there to the back, so I know what you're talking about. So let's turn it over to staff for just a second, and,
Yes, sir. I have not been back to River Highlands since joining the parish a month ago, but I have driven back there before, and they are absolutely correct. It's a minefield to drive through there, and it's in, at least in that one section, is in pretty poor shape. But as Councilman Robert noted, that the majority of that road is good. Unfortunately, as y'all have mentioned, our hands are tied at this point, but if we are directed by council and legal and our administration to do something, we will absolutely do something.
On all of them?
If
We
we
can't
have
pick
to,
one over the others.
you're absolutely correct. You know, we,
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd get sued
yes, ma'am.
by people on Bluff Oaks
Yes, ma'am.
who said, look, wait a minute, we've been trying for years too to
You
get
just
our
need
road
6 votes.
fixed.
That's it. And you get it.
You know,
I'm not sure that's true. But, I mean, we can do anything, but we can do illegal things that the next thing you know, you know.
Yes, legally. Look, y'all can have false hope and listen to campaign promises that y'all are now in his district, and he's trying to,
What you talking about? I got
Yeah.
another 4 years left.
the reality is, and
campaign
I'm
promise.
trying to be quiet. I'm
Don't tell
trying
me
to
to be
give
quiet,
y'all, I'm trying to give y'all the realistic view of
The
this.
realistic is you're not gonna be here in
Mr.
3 months
Robert,
to do
please
anything.
be quiet, I'm talking.
No, hold on.
I'm trying to give y'all the realistic view of this.
I give you realistic stuff. I have a problem with one thing.
Well,
I've been trying to ask that.
well, you can come to the microphone, but I'm just saying realistically, if it's only 100 feet, that's bad, that's what you have to fix. You don't have to fix the whole road. But that brings it up to standard, and then we can take it in.
Okay,
That's how it works.
I need some understanding, because apparently I'm not too bright. I've worked since I was 15. I'm retired now. But my understanding, when I bought this place, a developer buys land, I think, and then he makes him a road, and then he sells all these houses. Where does it relieve him of the responsibility of maintaining that road that he put in for us to drive through these houses that he sold us?
It doesn't.
No, I mean, why?
But it's not a parish responsibility. It's his responsibility.
Okay, well, we're just people. We're just working people. Parish, y'all know how to fight this. If he's responsible, can't y'all jump on our side and make him fix the damn road?
Y'all can file a lawsuit against him if that's what you want to do.
Why don't the parish
that's-
do that?
Because we don't have standing to do that.
You're the ones that we put in office and vote for and everything else.
I
Take care of
understand.
us,
I'm
and
trying to
now we got
explain
a
it though.
problem.
We don't have legal standing to do it. Y'all do. Y'all have the legal standing to do it. Okay?
Last time I
If-
took the law in my own hands, I went to prison. I ain't doing it.
I don't encourage you to do that.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But if you want a
Why-
realistic,
but Isn't that the legal terms?
the HOA can
The
sue.
legal system
Yes.
take care of everything? Y'all are part of the legal system?
No, we're not part of the legal system.
Not at all.
Not at all.
This has nothing to do with the legal
No.
system.
No.
So you're just,
We're the legislative body, completely separate from that. Look, I'm trying to give y'all a realistic path forward. That the way, Joel can talk all he wants about getting 6 votes. If it's not legal, it's not gonna get done. It's gonna get stopped. You want a legal path forward is you figure out, if y'all wanna do a taxing district, come to us. We can set that up, and that can go to a vote, and we can create a taxing district for y'all.
The problem with this taxing district is, the only people that care that live on River Highlands are the ones from Chet past us to the condos. Once you get to the island, that's Livingston Parish, they don't give a damn.
It would only impact, we can only do for Ascension Parish.
Okay, but what I'm saying, the road is Ascension. The island people, they're not gonna do this. All the people on River Highlands is not gonna vote, or they're not gonna support a vote for this taxing district. The only ones that are going to is gonna be us 30, 40 people in here. That's it.
Then you
It's
do an
never gonna
assessment.
pass.
Then you do an assessment. I'm sorry,
So
but,
who have you been talking to on River Highlands? You've never knocked on my door.
No, I've never knocked on your
Joel
door.
talked to me, but you've
People-
never knocked on my door.
people came to a meeting about 5 years ago to talk about this.
Was it the people on the upper end of River Highlands, or was it on the end that's messed up?
I don't know.
Livingston
know.
fixed theirs and took theirs. Livingston puts a deputy sheriff up on theirs, and they run radar. You may not be in the legal court battle, but you do have responsibility for the safety and the well-being of them people on that,
We
on
don't
that
control,
road.
we don't control the sheriff's office to where they do radar.
I'm not talking about, you have control over that road. When
No,
the
we
sheriff's-
don't.
When the sheriff's
No, we
department,
don't.
for the safety and well-being, y'all are a part of the big picture. Y'all are a part of the big picture. When a fire truck can't go down there, you're gonna tell me you can't step in? The fire department can say, we can't go down there, and the parish council can't do nothing about it?
Yes.
Can y'all?
It's a private road.
I understand it's a private road. However, now you're starting to talk about first responders and safety. Y'all do have responsibility over first responders and safety of those people. There's got to be something legally y'all can do to the owner of the road, and you keep saying sue the owner. Just like when I talked to Joel 2 years ago. No one knows who the owner is. The road was there since 2000, or even before then. No one has a
It's
clue who
been
the owner is
before that.
now. I couldn't tell you. I was
Yeah.
told Kelly Seals owned the road. That's who I was told.
I would advise getting an attorney. They could do a title search, figure out who owns the
The
road.
parish should know who owns the road. Y'all should have it in your
I know we
records.
did some private work in one of his subdivisions on the road this, what, a term, or, no, not this term, last year, the year before, because we voted on it and took it in and did it, so.
No,
it
we
can be
didn't.
done.
No, we
I'm
didn't,
just
Joel.
asking if you, I'm not trying to
Joel.
be political. I'm
Yeah,
far from
but-
politics. I'm just trying to say, somewhere in the parish records and archives, you have a name of somebody that owns that road, whatever company it is. We have no clue who it is to begin to do a lawsuit.
Well, we can ask the administration, to look that up for y'all and get y'all that information.
But I
Joel,
still
I
think y'all
suggest
can
you
write a letter to the
Stick with
owner.
facts.
Let's hold up, let's
hear
do
me?
this. Miss Shelley, the HOA president. Let's make this agreeable here. We're gonna go through you, let our staff get some stuff together. And then we'll take the next step. Look, this has been around too long, so let's try to stay on course here. We'll work through Miss Shelley if that's, and let our staff put a few things together, and let's move forward with this. And-
Just understand, where they live, where there's no HOA for us. There is not an HOA.
Listen, this has been long enough. Yeah.
Information in. I'd like to understand what.
Ma'am, can you approach the mic, ma'am?
Would y'all mind pulling together for us what the statute is that you're referring to, so we can understand? My other question is about the condition that the road has to be in for consideration for adoption. Is it the whole road? Is it a percentage of the road? Is it percentages, or is it strictly conditions upon the road along the way? Is it a certain percentage of the road has to be within? Whatever.
We can get the department to get y'all that information.
Okay, yeah,
We have-
because,
we-
like they said, the road's 2.5 miles long, right? And part of it crosses through Livingston, and then we come across a bridge and we're back in Ascension. And then the people that drive through that Ascension-owned property area. No, like, just the whole road.
It goes 3 or 4 different times to the parish.
Yeah, and so, I'm not sure where the zone starts that is considered private. I would like to know that too from the council. I'd like to know at what point on that street does it turn into private, designated as private? And if it's designated as private, does it have to have a different name and numbering system as opposed to one that's already within the parish, or does it just carry on?
Very good question. So we can get this together, okay? And working through staff.
Okay,
Thank you, Ms. Shelley.
thank you.
I would like to make a comment that, to kind of go back to what they were saying, is, I guess what's kind of confusing to me is that this is a residential area that this council allowed commercial businesses in the back. Years ago, this was allowed. It's in the council minutes. And because those businesses were allowed back there, that's what destroyed the road.
Sure.
So, in a way, the road is ruined because of this council. I'm not trying to be rude, this was years ago.
Right.
So, but, I think that's a consideration here, and maybe the law still is the law, and it is what it is.
Look,
But-
we're glad y'all came out, and I think we have a path forward. Like Mr. Lawler was saying, I think we have something here we can kind of work with, so.
I do have one question though about the special tax thing. Is that like a always like a permanent? No, it's just until the road gets paid for?
No, it's permanent.
You can make,
No,
you
no,
can
you
put
can
stipulated.
stipulate, it can be a 10-year
You could do it for a shorter period.
And you can
yeah.
also do, you know, it can be voted out. Once you reach that threshold where you've paid for the road, you can end the taxing district. And like I said, if you do it right, you'll get a certain amount every year. You'll get X amount of dollars. You'll be able to bond that out, get the work done early,
Yes.
and you just keep that taxing district until it's paid for.
Right, and the earlier we do it, obviously, the cheaper it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Can we do that?
I don't think we can do it, but we can probably direct them to someone who could do that for them.
Yes. I don't think you see, that's the problem. You're talking about private property. I know it sounds strange, but it's just like if one of your neighbors said, you know what? My roof is a problem. Can the parish come help me with it? I said, I know what you're saying, but it's still, it's private property.
But you determine what's up to department.
I have,
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is we can't send somebody out there to calculate what it's gonna fix it, because that's doing work on it, but what we can do, they've got a ton of engineering firms that can easily do that for y'all.
and I have a contact for RJ Daigle. They can go out there and just give you a quote on what it would cost to fix it for, and that's a private company. We're not doing anything with it.
I wanna build something on my private property, don't I have to give y'all money? We might not be talking a whole lot to get it to stand. On my private
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, we're looking at a couple spots.
And I can give that contact to Sherry or to whomever for
Sure.
and RJ Daigle. They do his work for the parish and everybody too.
I've worked with his wife for years.
Call her up.
Okay. Thank you all again for coming out. We
Thank you.
appreciate all the help. All right, for this, we'll move on to number 6, the general business, the acceptance of minutes of July 13th as written. Moved by Mr. Johnny,
Second.
second by Ms. Terry. Department report, Mr. Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've thrown together a quick PowerPoint presentation to kind of give you an update on a lot of the projects that we're doing here in the parish over the last month. Just a kind of a quick rundown. We're going to do the update of the projects with DOTD, standalone DOTD projects. Thank you. Standalone DOTD projects, specific parish projects, updates on some citizen issues that have been brought to our attention. And then I'm going to have Mr. Cunningham here go over some work that they've been doing with the pavement group. So right now we have 3 active projects in the parish: the Ascension Parish Overlay Project, with DOTD. We have the Ascension Parish Overlay Project, the Parker Road Roundabout, and then we have a new roundabout at Church Point at Roddy Road. That has been given a notice to proceed. The assembly period ends the middle of the month, towards the end of this month, so we should be seeing action at that site, hopefully by the end of the month. We have another project to fix some off-system bridges. That's going to actually be 5D. But we have a project that has been let. We're waiting for a pre-con meeting to be set with the Department of Transportation. And then we have quite a few projects that are looking to be let or scheduled to be planned to be let within the next 6 months or so. We have provided plans to DOTD for the Ascension Parish 929 overlay project from Parker to Airline. And in 2024, we're looking at 4 roundabouts, 3 on Roddy Road and 1 at the Bluff Road connector. So specifically looking into each one of these projects, the Ascension Parish Overlay Project is to pave 8 roads throughout the parish. There are 2 on the west bank with Tebow Drive and Lemonville, and then 6 on the east bank, Post Office Drive, Causey Road, Merritt Evans, Papera, Church Point, and Philippe in Gonzales. RJ Daigle and Sons is the contractor. They're currently performing shoulder work. They're really kind of towards the end. They're in mop-up duty for this project. We need some final pavement markings, raised pavement markers, and then they're going to repair some signal detection that was damaged as a part of the the milling project, or milling process at Papera and up on 44 Causey. Their last estimate, they're 73% complete with 52% of the time used. We had a meeting earlier this week with them and H&TB. They're at day 174. So they're they still have a good bit of time, but their work is getting very close to completion. 929 at Parker Road, that's the roundabout. I know that's kind of a hot topic right now, especially with school starting back. Hendrick Construction is the contractor. They have had some issues out on that roadway. They found some utilities that weren't supposed to be there anymore, so they've had to work around that. They've had some unsuitable material that they have discovered out there, and they're working around that. There's some issues. You know, typically you would want to go and dig all that unsuitable material out, but you can only go so deep with the pipeline there. So they have developed some workarounds for that. And we also have people that are removing barricades and driving through the construction zone. So that's a fairly significant problem. We're working with the sheriff's office to make sure that there's some patrols in the area so that we can catch the offenders that are doing this. They're currently projected for completion in November of 2023. Looking at their schedule that they provided earlier this week, we are requesting that they modify their schedule and swap two task items. They have a 25-day period to do lighting before final pavement, and we're requesting them to move the final pavement project up so that we can get this open sooner. If we can get that done, we'll be looking at an October opening instead of a November. So yeah, they're going to need change orders that will be coming before council here before too much longer for the work with the water line, the mitigation of unsuitable material, and a time extension. In Churchport at Roddy Road, Richard Price Contracting is the contractor there. Their notice to proceed was the 24th. Their assembly period ends August the 24th. The contractor has 120 working days to complete the work. Meyer Engineering and Architect is on as the CE&I contractor. They're also the CE&I contractor for Parker Road, so they have quite a bit of experience here in the parish. And then we're hiring the Beta Group to do some material testing. The off-system bridge replacement project that has also been let, we're replacing two bridges on H.H. Wilson Road and Manchac Acres Road. This is not the one that on Manchac Acres that has been closed and repaired. There's one a little bit further back north of David Drive that will need to be replaced. H.H. Wilson, they have built a runaround, so that will be open throughout construction. With Manchac Acres, that will be a complete closure. Fortunately, since they're a little bit to the further back, they will have, you know, a very good detour route for them to get around that. We are waiting on a pre-con meeting with LADOTD. They're anticipating, in speaking with Ms. Dunn over at DOTD, they're expecting a notice to proceed sometime between mid-August and mid-September. They'll have 90 working days to complete the project. So they're thinking we'll see boots on the ground working in October, and then by spring of 2024, those projects will be complete. The Ranger, just, you know, kind of a high-level overview, the Parish Road 929 overlay, we provided final plans to DOTD. It's scheduled to let in October. DOTD does have on their projected advertising list a CE&I contract to hire a CE&I contractor for that. They have not put that out for proposal yet. Knowing the time it takes to go through the proposal process and the proposal review process, if they were to let in October, they likely will not have a CE&I contractor by then, but hopefully shortly thereafter they'll have somebody on board. Roddy Road, the roundabouts, those are coming up to be let. They're not yet environmentally cleared, so we're going to need to have a public meeting. It's going to be required. We're going to work with communications to get something set up here in the next month or so that we can tick that box for DOTD. And then the Bluff Road connector is scheduled to be let again in June of 2024. We have been provided the DOTD entity agreement, and we will be bringing that before this committee next month. DOTD projects that are in Ascension Parish that we're aware of, but not necessarily paying for or responsible for. Airline Highway is supposed to be overlaid from 74 to 42. That project we have heard is still on the go for a September letting. They're planning to overlay Highway 30 between Veterans and Airline Highway in October, or letting that project in October. 431 bridge replacements there just south of 42 and Fred's. There are two bridges over Lake Villar, and then a drainage bridge just a little bit south of that. That's supposed to be let in November. An overlay on 943 over on the West Bank. The addition of a turn lane on 431, and then an overlay on 945 and 928 as well, to be let in December. Into 2024, they have four projects listed on 2024 to be let, and then I'll talk about the one within the next 12 months. Highway 44 patching of the concrete from I-10 to Highway 621, that's supposed to go in March. They have a project on Airline Highway at the Walmart in Prairieville, where we're seeing significant congestion spilling back from the signal, looking to add a left turn lane there to help mitigate some of that spillback, and then adding a receiving lane onto 429 or 427 onto Perkins Road, so that they're not trying to zipper into one lane. Highway 22, they're going to be replacing the crossing surface. They're planning to do that in May, or planning to let the project in May of 2024. And then we have an overlay on Jefferson Highway between 429 and 621. That's planned for July. That's likely going to coincide with school starting. So we'll be on top of that one so that we can make sure that we mitigate any traffic problems that may be there. And then, Mr. Chairman, you specifically asked about 42 at Joseph Ario Road. There's been an issue with the property acquisition. There's some underground storage tanks there. DOTD has pushed that back to October. And they are not under the impression that they need an additional public meeting, but if we feel that another public meeting is warranted, we'll need to talk to DOTD about that.
Sure. Thank you.
As far as parish projects, we have the asphalt overlay that we're doing every year. Just as a reminder, it came in $2 million over budget. We've been using road condition data, road type, to develop a prioritized road list. Mr. Tragg and Mr. Joey have done a great job here in the last few weeks pulling that together. That road list is being finalized, and we're working to develop a projected bid cost so that we hopefully don't run into the same issue that we ran into earlier this year. We're shooting to have the bid package 2 purchasing within the next month and a half, to get before council approval to go for an RFP. Asphalt Preservation Project, Material Resources won the bid. They have provided us a list of roads and a cost estimate. We're working on getting the paperwork together for that, so that project should hopefully be going within the next month or so. And then, as we were talking around the office earlier this week, the Galvez Avenue Bridge came up. This is on Galvez Avenue, east of 44, back towards the end of that subdivision. We had Fort and Tablada go out and take a look at that bridge and develop some mitigative measures to what needs to be done to repair it. There needs to be repairs to the caps and the piling and rebuild the abutment and wing walls. We do have a project. In fact, I have a task order on my desk for durable piling, but we're having issues with right-of-way access at that location. The residents are unwilling to discuss the option of the parish coming on site, or the contractor coming on site to fix it. We are going to work on a task order to have Fort and Tablada come back and load rate that bridge, so that if it is in poor shape, we can maybe find a way to get some right of way out there and get it fixed. We've had citizens, have brought issues up to us within the last month. Councilwoman Casso has connected us with a woman on Seabroad Road who is having some flooding in her front yard. When they came through and did the project, the contractor has built basically a little eyebrow ridge between the drainage ditch and her yard, which makes it impossible for it to flow out. We have Mr. Broussard and I met with the lady when we went out to do an assessment of the site. We spoke with her. She made mention that there were other residents on that route that had concerns, and we had requested that she reach out to some of her neighbors, provide us our information so that we can, develop a fix for the whole road instead of piecemealing it together. To this point, we haven't heard anything from any of the other neighbors, so we may just go ahead and move forward with addressing this one site, removing this little ridge and helping her drainage issue. Lakes of Ascension, we have had some reports, some residents' reports of some roadway issues in the neighborhood. We've gone out and taken a look at the site. There are a couple of fairly significant dips in the roadway. We have pulled some as-built plans to see if they may coincide with utilities or what may be causing that. We have possibly identified one of the problems, and we're looking into another location. That roadway is on our asphalt overlay project list, so it will be addressed if we can get that bid accepted next time. We had a resident on Palmer Road complain about a large amount of sand that was on the roadway from a vehicle that had leaked some hydraulic fluid. We worked with Mr. LeBlanc, our safety person. They think they had narrowed it down to who may have done that. They were requested to remove it and did not. So we sent parish crews out earlier this week to remove that sand from that location based on approval from Mr. LeBlanc. And in Pelican Point, we had a resident that was complaining about the ponds filling up quickly and water being held on the roadway during rain events. And I know that the parish crews are out there working to keep the catch basins and the drainage ways clear. It may be that Pelican Point was one of those subdivisions that was designed to have storage in the roadway. We're looking into that a little bit more. There's not much we can do about that, but if the ponds are filling up pretty quickly, that is hampering the ability for water to flow off their property. I made mention that they should reach out to the HOA and talk to them about cleaning up those ponds. They've been out there 20, 25 years. They're probably filling up with silt. And it's maybe their responsibility to help that, but we will make sure that we're taking care of what we can take care of. And during the listening tour, we had a couple of citizens bring up some issues. One was on Duplessis Road. The resident reported water ponding and road condition issues. We discussed with him that there is a Move Ascension project that is coming on Duplessis Road to do some widening through there. And speaking with the engineer, they're projecting a late 2024, early 2025 construction starting on that project. But in the meantime, we'll be looking to make some in-house pavement improvements to help the rideability of that road ahead of that project. At Tiggy Duplessis and 621, we had a resident who is having some issues identifying the roadway at night. He had asked about the putting up of a street light. It's not in a lighting district, so we are going to deploy some clear raised pavement markers. Basically, they're clear on either side. We're going to route those around the radius of the road, which will hopefully help the resident or the residents be able to identify Tiggy Duplessis, especially at night. And then we had a resident report at the Oak Grove listening tour that the street name sign during the clearing and grubbing of 920, they took the street name sign down. They've actually kept the street name sign. It's a decorative sign. We don't have the ability to put up decorative signs, but we have ordered a replacement for the street sign, and the parish will go out and install that once it's received. And then I'm going to let Mr. Cunningham talk a little bit about what he's done paving-wise this month.
Can we have some questions at this point
Yes, ma'am.
before we get too far away? And I won't be able to remember what I wanted to ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, on Seabro,
Yes, ma'am.
Joey's note should reflect whose property on the south side is not, the slope of the ditch was either not correct or it was not done with material that remained stable. And so as the water runs off, it's created all these little finger-looking ridges, and none of those folks along there can cut their front ditches. Before this project, they all cut their own ditch, and they ran their lawnmower over it. Now it's like that. You just can't do it. So that is what we need to be looking at on the other side. I'm sure Mr. Turo's notes reflect that the developer was supposed to come back, the contractor, and stabilize those ditches, slopes, and get that right, and had agreed to do so after the winter, which isn't like now, ASAP. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, just because I haven't called you about it, but I'm understanding that El Landry, which is a parish road, very narrow, has begun to be used by 18-wheelers. That's not something the residents along there have seen in the past. But somebody has decided that it's the route, an easier route to get from point A to point B. And so several 18-wheelers are starting to use that road. So I need to check on the weight limit on that parish road. And if there is a weight limit, which I would presume there is based on the way we construct parish roads, then we need to put some weight limit signs on that road so that those folks who live along El Landry can begin calling the sheriff's office to deal with the enforcement issue of having those heavy trucks on that road.
Yes, ma'am. We'll look into, we'll look into Joey's notes.
Right.
I'm still kind of transitioning and trying to
Sure.
find what I do and I do not have. But I'll look into his notes, and if we have an agreement with the contractor, we will get the contractor back out there to do the work.
Thank you. If not, what's our next step? It's our responsibility.
If that is, we will work with our internal crews to get it fixed.
Thank you for that.
Whether it's, our paving side or it is our drainage side. If it's drainage ditches, maybe something that I need to bring up.
We have our sinkhole crew also, so maybe.
Yeah, and
maybe
these
they
are
can
not
follow.
holes, they're just these,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure you've seen them on construction sites, I mean, it just looks like, it's awful.
They
It
did-
just looks like little fingers going down to the ditch, and it's very rough, and the grass is not growing in it, so it's awkward looking, so it's very unsightly for those folks, very fine homes there, so if you could take a look at that for me, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am, we'll look into that. What happened is the contractor did not establish any grassing in that area before he was let go. He should have been required to do that, and that would have maybe mitigated some of that problem. If we can't get the contractor back out there, we'll work with our drainage folks to see about doing something, and maybe with our
Thank you.
vegetation folks to maybe get some sod or some seeding out there as well. I would agree that we should never have a parish project look like that, even a year afterwards.
Thank you so much.
And as for El Landry, we're gonna look into we'll look into El Landry. I'm curious as to make a determination of why those 18-wheelers are starting to use that road. We can put up regulatory signs saying no trucks, without even knowing what the weight limit is. My guess is that the mix that is out there is not for 18-wheelers.
Exactly.
And that's only gonna exacerbate any pavement issues that are out there and cause them to fail quickly.
It's a great little road right now, and the residents along there are concerned that it won't be for long.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what has happened either, that suddenly that these trucks have found this little road. But once they found it, my aunt has lived on that corner for 70 years. And, she said, once they found it, she's seeing them daily.
Yes.
And then other folks along the road are also reporting them. So, and I'm sure Councilman Wagasback, who lives on that road, would say the same thing. So I would very much appreciate, even if we don't have to do a weight limit, let's get some signage out there real quickly and stop them from using it. And then if they don't stop, then we have some enforcement we can do.
Yeah, those signs that we put up are regulatory, so they can be written tickets against. So, let me do a little bit of digging, see what
Sure.
paths they may be taking and why they're not taking the other path. It may be that there's another road that's closed that is forcing them over to that road, but we do not want that type of traffic on our local parish system.
Small road, yeah.
Yeah, it's a small road.
Mr. Johnny?
I just had a quick question. I didn't want to interrupt you, but you mentioned the Church Point Road at Riley Road roundabout.
Yes, sir.
Did the authorization to proceed has been given?
Yes, sir.
Any idea on the timing? I have some constituents calling me regularly about when they're gonna see something happening.
The assembly period ends August 23rd or 23rd or 24th, and they are actually allowed to work before that. So the time, so when the assembly period ends, they can start being charged time. So my thought is somewhere within maybe the next 2 weeks, you should start to see some activity out there.
That's good, thank you.
Mr. Cunningham?
All right, so we have had, crews go out to the Marshall School Road, and they did, they paved that road in conjunction with the sewer project that was going on. They had to go on Highway 22 and do some patches that were, that made the road fail on the state highway. And we got with the State Department, and our crews went out and did some patches on that. We had Ron Street, we installed new culverts under the street, Sam Martin Road. We improved some shoulders that were in pretty bad shape. Deck Boulevard, they had some, we did some patching on that road where the concrete was buckling. Also, the same thing on Deep End Street, which we striped the Ascension Parish 930. David Drive, we paved some culvert crossings, and we've been doing our routine grading of the gravel roads and boat launches. We've had 30 signs that we had to install and repair, and 30 locations where potholes were repaired. We used 784 tons of asphalt for full depth patching and paving. We got some upcoming jobs. We're gonna overlay Bayou Grand South subdivision. We've been awaiting manholes. They finally came in, so we should start that this coming week, starting on that Monday. We just finished Jackson Oaks Drive in, off of Highway 74. So that's finished.
Thank you.
Yes, off of 73. So that one's done. We need to go back and do some shoulder work on that to finish that up, but the residents have a nice blacktop road there now. We got intersection improvements we want to do at Harry Savoy and 431. Shoulder improvements on Harry Savoy. And that's basically it that I have.
Anything else, Mr. Broussard? Anything? Anything else from the
I
commission?
want to, I know sometimes it's not a good idea to thank people publicly, but I appreciate the work of the pothole crew very, very much. Thank you.
With that, we'll move on. You finished up, Mr. Daniel? We'll move on to C. We're gonna pass because Mr. Jeff is out. We're going to D, the resolution, 2023-2024 recommendation of approval for certificate of
So moved.
compliance. Motion by Mr. Terry, second by Mr. Johnny. Anything, Mr. Daniel, you need on this?
It's just a standard thing that we're doing every year, or required by the state of Louisiana to do, to be able to use their all-system bridge funds to replace bridges. That's what we're using to do H.H. Wilson Road and Manchac Acres Road. We are following their guidance. We have 2 contractors, Huval Associates and Fort and Tablada, that go out and do bridge load rating. So we're staying within compliance for this, and would love to continue to use the state money for this.
Hey, appreciate you, and thank you for that H.H. Wilson, because I've been waiting for a while with this one. Thank y'all. We have a motion second. No objection. Motion passed.
Motion to adjourn. Mr.
Motion by
Chairman.
adjourned, Mr. Terry, second by Mr. Johnny. We are adjourned.